Let us start the class once again. We will now discuss the sphere with purely radial displacements. We have discussing the axisymmetric bodies, the stress condition of axisymmetric bodies. Sphere is one of the axisymmetric body itself because it is exactly uniformly round against a point, not exactly against an axis, but against a point itself. Every sphere has some center of its own. So it is also an axisymmetric body itself. But here, for other spherical vessels, we don't have any longitudinal stress itself. Because here, unlike other spherical items, is don't have any length. It is totally round. So there is no lateral to longitudinal stress exists in this type of item. But here, the longitudinal stress or the place of the longitudinal stress takes the place of is taken by the circumferential stress itself, because here the circumferential stress is acting in both mutually perpendicular direction. One can be taken as the replacement of the longitudinal stress itself. Now, let us see a uniform sphere is supposed to be uniform here, which means the spherical shell or a spherical shell subject to radial force only, because here we are supposed to have the radial force, means force acting along the radius, such as internal or external pressure. Here, the pressure will act from the bottom inner or from the outside itself. The sphere or the spherical shell will then undergo radial displacement only. The sphere or the spherical shell will undergo the radial displacement only. Then after the deformation, the spherical surface of radius becomes a surface of radius 1 plus u1. So what we are doing here, is we are thinking that we take into consideration a particle which is situated at a distance r from the center of the deformation itself, or the center of the circle itself. Then after deformation, we are assuming that spherical surface of radius becomes a surface of radius r plus u1, so that r is increases by an infinitesimal amount, which is equal to u1 itself, and the particle undergoes the displacement. The particle undergoes the displacement u1. Similarly, another particle at a distance r plus sigma r among the same radius will undergo displacement u1 plus duf by dr plus delta r itself. So first we are considering a considering one point inside the body of the sphere, which is at a distance r from the center, and it is deforming. After the deformation, r plus ur itself. Next, we are considering another particle inside the body of the sphere, which is on the same radial line, which is equal to r plus delta r away from the center itself. So after the deformation, it will undergo displacement again ur plus delta ur by delta r multiplied by delta r, which means original displacement is all there because it is acting on the same radius, and it is rate of displacement as per the radius is taken into account, and it is multiplied by the actual change in the radius itself, that is delta r. So the radial displacement, radial line, the second point is displaced by an amount ur plus del ur by dr into delta r. So if we subtract the initial displacement from here, then we'll have the radial strain, and divided by the original strain, we'll have radial strain is equal to sigma r radial shell is equal to UR plus delta C del UR by dr into sigma r itself. And the radial shell will be del UR by CR, because say original position was R plus dr. Original position was initially, it was initially the displacement was R. Now it becomes displacement R plus delta by R. So difference is become this is equal to R delta UR by R into delta R minus UR divided by the radial change in the radial distance. Radial distance was originated, that is equal to delta R. So you divide by delta R, we have radial strain epsilon R delta UR by delta R itself. Now, next is the deformation, the circumference of any great cycle on the surface of radius is pi 2 pi r. You know, the circumference of any cycle is equal to 2 pi into r, where r is the radius itself. So after the deformation, the radius becomes r plus delta r. So circumference also increases to 2 pi r to r plus delta r. So then the circumferential strain, that is the final strain after deformation 2 pi r by r minus the original deformation, original length, that is 2 pi r divided by 2 pi r itself. So this also become dur by r. So we have got the radial strain, we have got the circumferential strain also. This is the strain in every direction perpendicular to the radius. Because of complete symmetry, we can choose a frame of reference as in here. So what we have, this is the r, this is the origin, and this is the direction of r and the direction of the radius r itself, and the circumferential distance have two mutually perpendicular direction. One is along theta or epsilon theta, and one is along phi or epsilon phi. Both will be same, but they are acting as a vector. They are acting in a mutually perpendicular direction itself. Now, let us consider a segment here, which has the displacement, radial displacement sigma at the innermost side, and it is changed to sigma r plus delta sigma r in the radial direction. And we have two circumferential strain. One is say along the piece of paper sigma r, and another is sigma phi, which is normal to the piece of paper, normal to the paper itself. It is written like this. So here it is shown in a isometric view, sigma r delta r plus delta sigma r and sigma phi divided by delta sigma phi. So sigma theta and delta sigma theta. And the in-between angle between this side is equal to theta, as well as this side is also equal to theta. So this is a square-shaped infinitesimal block taken out from the sphere itself. So we have three extensional strain along the three axes, epsilon r, dur by r, epsilon theta, we have deduced dur by r, and epsilon phi, again, same ur by r into both the symmetry. There are no other shear stress and no other shear strain. And let gamma r is the body force per unit volume of in the radial direction itself. Now, the stress equation of equilibrium can also be derived very easily. Consider a spherical element of thickness delta r. But we are saying that of thickness delta r at a distance delta r and subtracting a small angle to theta at the center. So what we are seeing here, this is the radial distance equal to r, and radial distance from the center is equal to r up to the end, and the thickness of this portion of the sphere is equal to delta r itself. Not but delta r. That will be equal to delta r. Okay, so for the spherical symmetry, sigma theta and sigma phi is we know. So for equilibrium in the radial direction, what will happen? First of all, we are considering the radial direction. Radial direction should be sigma r into sigma multiplied by 2 theta r, 2 theta into r, 2 theta into r. Means sigma bar r here is subtending the angle towards the center. So this angle we are taking as negative and equal to sigma r, and theta is like this. 2 theta r, this is the 2 theta and this is 2 theta. So one side and with the length r, this side is equal to 2 theta r and this side is also equal to 2 theta r. So if we multiply sigma r multiplied by area, sigma r multiplied 2 theta r multiplied by 2 theta r again. Again, next, what will happen when sigma r plus sigma r plus delta sigma r, this side, it is also have the length r is changed to r plus delta r. So in the same argument, r plus delta r into 2 theta multiplied by r plus delta r into 2 theta. This is acting outwards and we are taking it positive. And next, again negative, we are coming around the radial distance, I mean the circumferential stress, sigma phi here. Here we are saying this is the one axis of the sigma, is the one axis of the sigma. So there are 2 sigma phi. So it is multiplied by 2 itself. And length is equal to 1 plus delta r by 2. Means first length from here to here is r, and the thickness, as the thickness is equal to delta r, it is to be divided by 2, means half of the thickness, which should be added with the r, with the idea that stress is acting over half of the length itself. And it is multiplied by angle 2 theta into delta r, multiplied the angle 2 theta into delta r. Delta r is this distance itself. This is the length of the thickness of this element. So one angle is here 2 theta 2 into r plus delta theta into multiplied by 2 into r delta, 2 into theta into delta, multiplied by the component of force sigma phi, which is acting, which is to be multiplied by sigma theta itself to get the component of force normal to this direction itself. And same is the case with this direction theta itself. Here the sides of make the same, sigma r plus 2 theta minus 2 phi delta, and that is the stress as the component sine theta, not sine phi but sine theta, delta theta into sine theta, which is acting on the length itself. And accordingly, gamma r, we have known that body force, it is multiplied by 4 into theta r into r, but 2 into theta r into 2 into theta r. So it is getting this distance multiplied by this distance equal to multiplied by the thickness delta r. So 4 theta r divided by delta r itself. Gamma, because gamma is the force per unit volume itself. Gamma is the body force per unit volume. So here we to calculate the force, we are making the volume itself. 2 theta multiplied by 2 theta multiplied by thickness delta r. So this is the equation we take. Now we know sigma theta is equal to phi theta itself. Sigma theta is equal to phi theta, and sigma theta r is equal to sigma r by r. Sigma delta theta, delta sigma theta, which is the sigma r by r into delta r. Delta r by delta sigma divided by r multiplied by delta r. So it is, we are saying that rate of change of sigma r to the length of the radius multiplied by the change in radius itself. So the above equation reduces to this limit. If you put all this thing here, in case of theta, delta theta, we put delta phi, gamma r square remains there, and this portion is, if we replace everywhere in sigma r, sigma r and sigma theta, this equation will reduce to r square del sigma r by del r plus 2 r del theta minus 2 r del phi plus r square gamma r is equal to 0. Is r is the only independent variable, the above equation can read as r square into sigma r to the power d by dr, r square sigma r plus 2 into minus 2r phi and r square gamma r itself. As if we derive, we'll get another 2 r sigma r itself, 2 r sigma r. So these two joined together, if you go here, it will have 2 r sigma theta plus r square gamma r is equal to 0. If the body force you ignore the body force, so what will happen? This 1 by r square, you put it at the right side. It put it 2 r sigma theta sigma phi right side, divide both side by r square itself. So it will become 1 by r dr by r, dr sigma r is equal to r by r sigma phi itself. Now from Hooke's law, we have got a relation between r and sigma phi. Now from Hooke's law, what is clear? It is clear here. Epsilon r, the strain in radial direction is equal to 1 by e into strain in radial direction minus the Poisson's ratio multiplied by sigma theta circumferential stress in the horizontal direction, circumferential stress in the vertical direction. As we know, both are same, so we are putting 2 v into sigma phi into sigma r minus 2 gamma into sigma phi, 2 nu into sigma phi. Now dUr actually S bar can be replaced by dUr by dr. So epsilon theta and epsilon phi in the similar fashion will be like this. 1 by e is epsilon phi minus gamma epsilon phi plus epsilon r itself. So 1 minus gamma epsilon phi plus epsilon 1 minus mu epsilon phi minus nu epsilon r. These three equations here, and here can be solved, and these three equations can be solved from this equation. So here this equation, as this equation, so UR is equal to 1 by R into 1 minus nu into R sigma phi into dr sigma R. If we differentiate with respect to R, then dUr by dr is 1 by R. 1 minus gamma, gamma is a constant term, dr phi by dr minus v. V is also, Poisson's ratio is also, Poisson's ratio nu is also constant. So dr sigma r by dr. Subtracting the above equation from equation 38, where you have got this relation between dUr and dr, then 1 by e into sigma r minus 2 sigma gamma sigma phi, which is given in 38. So here we put this sigma phi here. If you take it here and take it on the left side, and dUr, yes, okay. If we replace sigma phi from, substituting for sigma phi from equation 36, so what is that? Sigma phi is here. So here you can get a value of sigma phi. So we put this value of sigma phi, which is here, when will be equal to r square sigma r into minus v at r sigma phi by r minus sigma r, and so. If r square is equal to sigma r equal to y, if we put this value r square sigma y in simplified form, so it will be d by r sigma r and d by di y by r. And this is become r is put here, and r is also put here also, and we put the rest here, which is no r, we put it here, and then got is 1 by r, and this thing we left on the left side itself. Thus for equation 40 will become 1 by v by the square by delta r square minus gamma by r dy by dr, and mu by y by r square plus 2 by r into dy by dr is equal to 0, or dy square y by dr is equal to 2 into y by r square equal to 0. This is a homogeneous linear equation with the solution y a r square plus b by r, where a and b are constant itself, and sigma r is equal to a plus b by r square, a plus b by r square r cube. So from 37 itself, sigma phi is 1 by 2r, 1 by dr a r square by sigma, just replace sigma r here. So d by dr, ar square, v by r is equal to a minus b by r square. If we take derivative of this thing, it will take this particular form itself. The constant a and b are named as the boundary condition itself. Okay, we are finishing here of the left part of the class itself.